Yeah. That's more important. You can see on the screen? The screen, is it on?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the verse.
If you turn it on,
Huh?
if you turn on yet.
Yeah. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballava Giridharadhari Gopi Jana Ballava Giridharadhari Yashoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Ballava Giridharadhari Yashoda Nandana Bhajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th Canto, Chapter 3, text number 30. Chapter is called Gajendra's Prayers of Surrender. And you can see the screen out there, yes? Is the printing, is the size big enough to see? Okay. Sri Sukha Uvacha Evam Gajendram Upavarnita Nivishesham Pramadayo Vividalinga Vidavimanaha Naiteyadopasa Naiteyadopasas Ripurniki Latmakatvat Tatra Kilamara Mayo Harir Avir Asit Evangajendram Upavarnita Nirvishesham Pramadayo Vivida Linga Viva Vimanaha Naiteyado Pasas Vitornikilat Makatvat Tatra Kilamara Mayo Harir Avir Asit Shisuka Uvacha Evangajendram Upavarnita Nivishesham Pramadayo Vividalinga Vivadi Vimanaha Naiteyado Pasas Prichur Nikilat Makatvat Tatra Kilamara Mayo Harir Avir Asit Sri Sukha Vacha Gangajendran Upavarnita Nirvishesham Pramadayo Vivida Linga Viva Vimanaha Naiteyado Pasas Prichur Nikiliat Makatvat Chakilamara Mayo Harir Avir Asi. Try to, when you're speaking the mantras, try to speak right in the ear so it can be heard by those who are watching. Sri Sukha Uvacha Evangajendram Upavarnita Nirvishesham Pramadayo Vivida Linga Vivadi Danaha Naiteyado Pasas Prishur Nikilat Makatvat Tatrakila Mayo Harir Avir Asit Sri Shuka Uvacha Pramadayo Vivida Linga Vivad Vimanaha Bhakteyado Pasas Mishor Niki Atmakatvat It's almost like the Brahma Samhita prayer melody. Evam Gajendram Upavarnita Nirvisheshang. Exactly. That's how it would work. But okay, next time. Word for word. Shri Sukha Uvacha. Shri Sukadev Goswami said. Evam. In this way. Gajendram. Unto the king of the elephants. Gajendra. Upavarnita. Whose description? Nirvishesham. Not directed to any particular person. But to the Supreme. Although he did not know who the Supreme is. Brahma Adaya. The demigods beginning with Brahma, Shiva, Indra, and Chandra. The demigods beginning with Brahma, Shiva, Indra, and Chandra. Vivida. Varieties. Linga Vida. With separate forms. Abhimanaha. Considering themselves separate authorities. Na, not. Ete, all of them. Yada, when. Upasasri puhu. Approached. Nikila. Actually, it's Nikila Atmakatvat. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the super soul of everyone. Tatra, there. Akila, of the universe. Amara Mayaha, consisting of the demigods, who are only external parts of the body. Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can take away everything. Avirasit, appeared before the elephant. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, when the king of the elephants was describing the supreme authority without mentioning any particular person, he did not invoke the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Indra, and Chandra. Thus, none of them approached him. However, because Lord Hari is the super soul, Purushottama, the personality of Godhead, he appeared before Gajendra. Repeat after me. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, when the king of the elephants was describing the supreme authority without mentioning any particular person, he did not invoke the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma,
headed by Lord Brahma,
Lord Shiva,
Lord Shiva,
Indra,
Indra,
and Chandra.
and Chandra.
Thus none of them approached him.
Thus none of them approached him.
However,
However,
because Lord Hari is the Supersoul,
because Lord Hari is the super soul,
Purushottama,
Purushotama,
the personality of Godhead,
personality of Godhead,
he appeared before Gajendra.
he appeared before the kingdom.
Srila Prabhupada's purport. From the description of Gajendra, he apparently was aiming at the Supreme Authority, although he did not know who the Supreme Authority is. He conjectured, there is a Supreme Authority who is above everything. Under the circumstances, the Lord's various expansions, such as Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Chandra, and Indra, all thought, Gajendra is not asking our help. He is asking the help of the Supreme, who is above all of us. As Gajendra has described, the Supreme Lord has various parts and parcels, including the demigods, human beings, animals, all covered by separate forms. Although the demigods are in charge of maintaining different aspects of the universe, Gajendra thought that they were unable to rescue him. Haring vina naiva vritin taranti. No one can rescue anyone from the dangers of birth, death, old age, and disease. It is only the Supreme Personality of Godhead who can rescue one from the dangers of material existence. Therefore, an intelligent person, to get free from this dangerous existence, approaches the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not any demigod. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 20, Kaimaistaya Hritigana Prapajantena Devataha. Those who are unintelligent approach the various demigods for temporary material benefits. Actually, however, these demigods cannot rescue the living entity from the dangers of material existence. Like other living entities, the demigods are merely external parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's transcendental body. As stated in the Vedic mantras, Sa Atma Anganyana Devataha. Within the body is the Atma, the soul, whereas the various parts of the body, like the hands and legs, are external. Similarly, the Atma of the entire cosmic manifestation is Narayan, or Vishnu, and all the demigods, human beings, and other living entities are parts of his body. It may be concluded that since a tree lives on the strength of its root, and when the root is nourished with water, all the parts of the tree are nourished, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original root of everything. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very difficult to approach, he is very near to us, because he lives within our hearts. As soon as the Lord understands that one is seeking his favor, one is seeking his favor by fully surrendering, naturally, he immediately takes action. Therefore, although the demigods did not come to the aid of Gajendra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead immediately appeared before him because of his fervent prayer. This does not mean that the demigods were angry with Gajendra, for actually when Lord Vishnu is worshipped, all the demigods are also worshipped. Yasmin tushte jagat tushtam. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead is satisfied, everyone is satisfied. Yatataror mula nisheshchanena tripyanti tatskanda Pujopa Shakaha Pranopaharachcha Yatendriyanam Tataiva Sarvar Anam Achu Jaya. As pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and the limbs of the body. So simply worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods, who are parts and parcels parts of the Supreme Personality. That's from Srimad-bhagavatam verse 4th canto 31st chapter 14th verse. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped, all the demigods are satisfied. Om Ajnana Timiranda Shagina Shana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So this is interesting. Gajendra, although he's somehow or other, he's from his previous lifetime, even though he's in the body of an elephant, he is in the body of an elephant, but he is remembering by the Lord's grace some prayer that in a previous life as a human being he had learned this prayer. This is the prayer he's offering, but he didn't have a clear understanding of who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It wasn't like he was thinking exactly, I understand Krishna or Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he didn't have a big philosophical understanding, didn't have a lot of realization. But by his own logic, common sense, he understood. So all these prayers that he's offering were. Of course, he was said at the beginning he was remembering the prayers, and he had some understanding, a logical understanding of the Supreme Lord, even though he didn't really know the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord has to be eternal. The Supreme Lord has to be the creator of everything. The Supreme Lord has to be all merciful. The Supreme Lord, these are things that just made sense. And we also can, if we think about it, if we analyze, even if we didn't have this philosophy, it should be obvious to people in general. Prabhupada even said to the atheists, it should be obvious that there has to be a supreme person. There has to be a supreme personality of Godhead. He has to be the creator of everything. He has to be organizing everything in the universe. He has to be the supreme lovable person and loving person. All these things should be concluded just by it just makes sense, even if you don't have any specific knowledge about God. So that was Gajendra's position. For he was an animal. Animals usually can't have any idea about God. Somehow or other, he was very fortunate to have remembered this prayer. I guess they say an elephant never forgets. So somehow or other, he remembered this prayer from his previous life as a human being. But he didn't really understand exactly, in terms of knowledge about God. But it was logical. It just made sense. And in his distress, great distress, with this crocodile holding onto his foot and fighting with him in the water for, it said, 1,000 years. So this was probably not on this planet. Or maybe it was, I don't know, it never said. But he was fighting for 1,000 years. It's nothing in modern times, because nobody lives 1,000 years in this planet. And he fought like this, and he's offering these prayers to who he logically assumed must be there, but he just didn't, he didn't know. We can say we have heard from disciplic succession. We've learned like this. where we have the deity form. There's so many things. His was all based on just logic, just what just made sense, common sense they call it. So anyway, so he did like that, and we human beings also should be able to conclude like that. Uh, Although not everyone does come to that conclusion, because people in general don't get it. The jnanis usually come to the conclusion that everything is impersonal. But Srila Prabhupada says that in general, people should come to that conclusion. And the only reason that we don't come to that conclusion is, Srila Prabhupada explained in a previous purport, the only reason we don't come to that conclusion is because of our past sinful activities. And that's why, another reason why we who are practicing Krishna consciousness, why these 4 regular principles are important, very important, because as long as we're not following these principles, then we're not going to be able to really understand anything about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even if we follow have some general faith from whatever religious pathway we may have been following. In fact, I remember sometimes when people when I joined the movement, there were a lot of people, Christians, and born again Christians too, came through, and they used to come to the temple sometimes to argue. And every once in a while, you'd find someone who was a vegetarian, they were actually vegetarian for whatever reason they became vegetarian, and even though they were following another path, but they were vegetarian, and they and when they heard the philosophy, it was like, wow, yeah, that just makes sense. It's all logical, what we were saying. It may not have been their exact faith, but what we were saying all made sense to them. But most people who came and were very much addicted to eating meat and illicit sex and those kind of things, you try to tell them about the philosophy, and they couldn't get it. And the reason is because Krishna is not revealing himself, because we can't, although we can get a general idea, a general logical idea about God existing, the way Gajendra did, but we can't really, we can't fully understand the Supreme Lord until He wants to reveal Himself to us, and He requires certain things, including those regular principles. In fact, it says that you can go on chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna mantra is very powerful. We all have experience. But if you're chanting Hare Krishna, you can go on chanting Hare Krishna mantra for hundreds of years or hundreds of lifetimes, like that, and never really progress if we don't give up the sinful activities and offenses and so on like that. It doesn't matter how much you chant, as long as these other things are not cleared up, then we can't achieve the perfection of that chanting. So, just like in our path, there are 9 stages of devotional service. They're described various places, including Nectar of Devotion. So the first ones, which we've all had some experience of, Shraddha. Shraddha is a faith. So to even start the process at all, we have to have a little faith. Sometimes that faith is nothing more than that we have some appreciation. Maybe we see a devotee. Maybe we see some devotees out, like Food for Life program. feeding some people who need something to eat. And someone says, "Oh, these people are nice. They're doing some nice food distribution for these homeless people." Example. So someone's thinking like that. They're not really thinking about they have faith in the process, but because they're thinking like that, they're getting a good impression like that. Then it helps them to come to the next stage where they start to actually get a little faith, and enough faith to look into the process, to at least want to hear something. Maybe come and sneak in, and like the percentage of people that walk. They tell us their neighbors. They were walking back and forth by the temple for 20 years, and then they finally thought, "Oh, let me check this place out." Peek in the window and peek in the door there and see the deities and beautifully. They don't understand what they're seeing, but they see something very, very, very pretty, very beautiful. Jai Shri going inside, Shri Radha, Vrita Vihari, Jagannath, all around, Lady Subhadra. When the Shigade Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. But they see something very nice. And somehow or other they want to come in and maybe hear some more, maybe chant a little bit, maybe hear a few minutes of the philosophy, things like this. This all comes about. This all starts with Shraddha. And then we go to the stage of Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha means association with devotees. So if you come into the temple, most likely you're going to find someone there, and so somebody will say something to you about Krishna, or there's some association there. Maybe answer some question like that. Sadhu Sangha, and if you associate with any devotee very long, then somebody's going to say, Can you wipe off these windowsills? Because we need a little help today. Can you just give a rag and just a little service? And they think, oh, they actually feel good if they do it. So it's a little service. Can I do some more? Can I mop the floor maybe? So it starts like that. So we have Shraddha, and then Sadhu Sangha, and Bhajana Kriya, devotional service, and in that way the process we progress. And then, but then at some point you start getting a little taste, a little feeling good, doing something that's spiritually good for you, and then the next thing that comes, which is the test, is called anartha nivritti. Anartha nivritti, that's when we have to start. Okay, you're already doing some good things, but there's some things that are blocking your progress. Things like that, like the regulative principles. So you can keep on chanting. Because anyone can take there's no restriction. Anyone can take up the path of Krishna consciousness. Anyone can associate with devotees. Anyone can do some devotional service of some sort. Anyone can do so many things, Krishna conscious activities. But if we want to really achieve the highest perfection, then we have to remove some obstacles. So anartha nivritti means those obstacles. So basically, the biggest obstacles are the regulative principles. If we're eating meat, or if we're having illicit sex, getting intoxicated, gambling, those things, then it's only so far that we can move forward. Now you can keep on doing a lot of Krishna conscious activities. It's like just like Shilpa gives the example of if you were building a fire, storing so much wood into the fire, and you're building and trying to start the fire burning, but you keep sprinkling water all over it the whole time. So your fire is not going to really take off. Like trying to light one of our ghee lamps, and then somehow or other And so you're offering the ghee lamp to someone who comes and throws some water. Well, I guess what happened afterwards, but say some toss the water in your way, and then the fire sort of whoop, goes down. So you can't light a fire and pour water in at the same time. So we lighting the fire means increasing our devotional service in this example, and putting water on it means we're reducing the effect of it because of in this case, like this sinful activities or offenses or something. But even if someone goes on for many years and it keeps somehow or other they're attracted and they keep coming and they keep chanting and keep doing service and keep giving donations and doing things that are good for Krishna consciousness and don't give up these other activities. So what they're actually doing is putting more and more and more wood in the fire, but it's not going to really burn. The fire of devotional service is not going to really burn properly as long as they keep putting water on it because of the other activities that are not supposed to be done. So, but when they do actually come to that point and give up those activities, maybe not in this lifetime, maybe it's not until the next lifetime, but when they do, they had that big pile of wood that was there to burn. It gets a chance to dry out, and then when it is burnt, then they go very quickly because all that they did was good. It was helpful, but they just couldn't really progress beyond that as far as becoming Krishna conscious without giving up the sinful activities. So it's like that. Anyway, that was one point here. Then another part here in the paragraph is in the purport. So it says, it may be also concluded that since a tree lives on the strength of its root, and when the root is nourished with water, all the parts of the tree are nourished. So we're talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his parts and parcels, which includes us, includes the demigods too. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is in that analogy is like the root of the tree. Just like if you have a tree, and you pour water on if you have a tree, just like we have mango trees out here. Okay, so if you want to do good for that tree, and you think I'm going to be a really nice, I'm going to be really nice to this tree, this mango tree. So I'm going to go and I'm going to bring a cup of water and put water on every single leaf of that tree. It will be very nice. I'm not going to miss one leaf. But that water is not going to do any good going into the leaves. It has to go into the root, right? And then the tree grows. The tree grows because that's the way the water can enter. Or just like if I'm eating, I'm hungry, I need some energy. I don't have any energy because I'm hungry, and I think, okay, well, here's a nice banana, so I try to stuff the banana in my ear, or I try to enjoy it by smashing it up in my hand, but it doesn't do any good for satisfying my hunger, right? I get a messy ear, my hand is all full of banana, but it doesn't actually solve the problem. I'm still hungry because in this body to satisfy, to give energy and give strength and satisfy hunger, you have to actually put the food in, go to the stomach, and then all the rest of the body gets nourished. So the same, that's the analogy. So the example here is given. So if you want to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then if you want to please everyone, even if you want to please the demigods, you do that by serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because the demigods, they get their ability to, they can give benedictions, yes, but they get their ability to give benediction because they've gotten it from Krishna. So if you please Krishna, and they're all devotees of Krishna, every demigod is a devotee of Krishna. So if you please Krishna, you don't have to worry that if I'm worshiping Krishna, then these other demigods, it says there's 33 million demigods. Yeah. So if I'm worshiping, you don't have to be afraid that, okay, I'm serving Krishna, but what am I going to do to please all these other 33 million demigods? It's not possible. It is impossible. And even if you try to individually serve and worship every one of those individual demigods, then it would be impossible. Even if you could perfectly serve one, and you serve one, and you might offend another one if you do something wrong. Who knows? But if you're serving Krishna, then they are all devotees of Krishna, and they are very happy to see that we are serving their master. So that's the way that works. So so in Vedic times, of course, the demigods have the demigods, their services are like controlling the weather, controlling so many things. Chandra is in charge of the moon, Indra's in charge of the weather. Surya, the sun, is in charge of, we have sunlight, and they all are doing their job perfectly according to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, it says that they are all performing their functions out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Fear or respect. The word is fear, actually. So they're doing it. The sun is moving perfectly in a circle and at a certain speed. So sometimes it says actually sometimes they go faster, sometimes they go slower, but overall it takes the same amount of time to go through its cycle. The moon acts in a certain exact way. The whole universe functions in exactly a certain way, which is how it's set up. And there's all these you say heavenly bodies, all these celestial bodies. They're all doing what they're supposed to be doing under the control of some higher authority, who are all under the control of Lord Krishna. And if we are being nice to Krishna, then the demigods will also be nice. I mean, usually like the demigoddess, Bhumi, who's in charge of the earth. She's like the goddess of the earth. So during the time of King Prithu, before the time of King Prithu, this was a saintly king from back at Satyayuga, millions of years ago. But before him was his father, who was Venu, and Venu was a bad king. He was a bad person. He was his position was because the king is called in Vedic times. King is referred to as Nara Dev. Nara Dev means like man king, or a man Nara Dev. Or like a god, almost like God, because he's represented in an administrative sense. He's almost like God, representing God. So that was actually the position of the great saintly kings. So he was thinking, and he was saying to the people, okay, I am he just saw himself, I'm God. I'm just like God. And I'm giving you the order that all your sacrifices, all the brahmanas sacrifices, anything that was going on in society, which was to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or to please the demigods, all that, he says, you do that all as an offering to me personally, because he was thinking, I'm supreme. He was a little crazy, but he was thinking like that, and he was powerful because he was the king. So when he took that position, the demigods, specifically the demigod of the earth, because she was not happy about that, because she's a devotee of Krishna, and she's being told that all sacrifices for all practical purposes were being stopped. Not really stopped, but directed in the wrong way to the king rather than to her or to the demigods or to Krishna. And it was being stopped for all practical purposes. So she responded by not providing what was needed to be provided, because if things are done nicely, then they provide the food grows, and basically in her case it was food grows. The grains and foodstuffs will actually grow nicely. You could plant something, but it may not grow. So that's what was happening. People were planting, but nothing was growing because she was not allowing it to grow, because sacrifice was not being performed properly. Anyway, this is going on, and the people of the earth, the whole earth, were becoming hungry. They actually were starving under the direction of this particular king. He had a lot of bad qualities. Finally, the brahmanas, who were very powerful, Satyayuga, the brahmanas were more powerful than anyone. They spoke some harsh words, and they basically cursed him, and he immediately died. They killed the king by curse. And then by some mystical process, which we cannot do in this age, they were able to bring about the appearance of King Prithu and his wife, Queen Archie. And once he was in charge, then he rectified things, and sacrifices were performed, and everything started going nicely. And he performed a lot of big sacrifices for the pleasure of the Lord and the demigods also. And by doing that, then the whole world again went back to a very nice state of existence. But anyway, we're talking about the watering the root of the tree. So that was an example there where he actually did that, and everything went nicely. And Kali Yuga, everything goes down. This is really bad, and it is. It's going like that. Things are getting worse and worse. But it would be a whole lot worse now. Even now, it would be a whole lot worse, because there's a lot of sinful activities going on in the world. It would be so much worse now if there was no devotional service going on, if there's no religious activity going on. So we may or may not see, we may not see that there's thousands and millions of people coming to the temples every day and begging to be, train me up to be a devotee of Krishna. We may not see that, but we do know that in the world, because Krishna consciousness is not just here. It's going on all over the world. So we can understand that if all over the world, if this devotional service was not going on, if the devotional service was not going on all over the world, then the material, the effects of the material impious activities would be more pronounced, they'd be more obvious, and the proof of that. Well, maybe we can't see the proof, but the proof is what is predicted for the end of this age, when after the end of the Chaitanya's golden era, which will be 10,000 years from when he appeared 500 years ago, so 9,500 years from now, there will be no more Sankirtan movement. There won't be any temples. There won't be anything like this going on, except for maybe in little small groups of devotees that are hiding somewhere, trying to practice it. So basically, it won't be going on, and the results of the sinful activities of the world will be so bad. I mean, it says that lifespan at the end of the age of Kali, a very old person would live to be maybe 25 years old. Lifespan is not increasing, as some people say. I have at least 2 or 3 people in my family that live to be 100 years old, but I don't expect to live 100 years like that. So things are going down. At the end of Kali Yuga, it'll be very bad. The vegetarian foods will practically not exist. The people in general will be cannibalistic. Well, as far as sinful activities, these are some of the mentioned. There's a chapter in the 12th canto. There's a chapter in the 12th canto on the symptoms of the age of Kali, so you can read. So these things are going on. We should be confident that as we're here struggling and trying to practice Krishna consciousness, the whole world is being benefited. Not only the people. We're chanting Hare Krishna. These trees and plants that are around us are getting a whole lot of benefit. They can't chant Hare Krishna right now, but that soul that's in each of those bodies, tree bodies, plant bodies, is going to it will come back to a human form of life. Maybe go immediately after this lifetime, and they have a chance as a human being to become Krishna conscious. Even the insects, even the mosquitoes that come around, Hare Krishna, they're somehow or other that mosquito was fortunate to be around where the chanting of Hare Krishna and devotional service is going on. See, with their disturbance, but they're getting some benefit. People who have pets, cats, dogs, anything like that, and if they say Hare Krishna to them, then there's so much benefit that they're getting. Because otherwise, that soul would probably take thousands and millions of births before they got a human body again and a chance to become Krishna conscious. So there's so much benefit there is simply because of those who are giving their time and energy in devotional service to the Lord. So therefore, like they say, like watering the root of the tree, everyone else is benefited. So everyone else means everyone, including the insects and the microbial germs and everything else. What to speak of the human beings. I think I have to stop and ask for questions. Does anyone have questions today? No? No? Yes. Into the microphone, please. So our audience outside can also hear.
Yes, you just mentioned there are 9 steps to progress on devotional path. I think you mentioned just the first 2. So just briefly.
Yes. Okay. Okay. We have Shraddha. We have faith. We have association of devotees, devotional bhajana kriya, which is devotional service. Anartha nivritti, which is by following the regular principles. And then another stage is if it's Sanskrit. Another stage is the becoming steady. It's a stage. As you become steady, it means we're not up and down, in and out. We actually become fixed. That comes after the regular principles. And there's a stage called ruchi, which means we actually start getting a real spiritual taste. It's above this right now. There's another one in English will be called attachment, which is even higher. And how many of I counted so far? 7. And then there's bhava, which means ecstasy, and then there's Krishna prema, which is pure love of Krishna. Anyway, somewhere there's 9. I'm not sure if I hit them all, but those are the 9 levels. So, and there's a nice book, actually. Although all this information is in Srila Prabhupada's books, but our previous acharyas have also written books. So I think Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yeah, Nectar Devotion is full of it. And so all these stages are very much described in detail by, I think, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, one of our previous pure devotee acharyas. And he gives a very detailed explanation of each stage, like that. And there's also a book, we have our 10 offenses of chanting Hare Krishna. There's also a book called Harinam Chintamani, written by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, one of our acharyas. And he describes in detail the different offenses against chanting. We go through in top speed time, go through those offenses, reciting them in the morning, but each one of those is a lot more understanding of it that we can get by these descriptions that these previous acharyas have given. So anyway, you can read those books also. Actually, let me check, make sure if anyone left any comments here. No questions. Okay, so I think we'll end here. It's already 8:44. So tomorrow we'll continue with the next verse, 31. We only have a few more verses for this. 31, 33. We only have 31, 32, and 33 verses, numbers for this chapter. Then we go to the next chapter. So, okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad-bhagavatam